Hey everybody, what's up? It is GleeCon here, and another episode of Lore of Warcraft is coming right at you. We have been talking about the rise of the Night Elves and Queen Azshara, and that's kind of been spanning the past 2,000 years as her empire um, is the biggest ever. And 2,000 years can pass, and she's still in power. So immortality, that must be part of their thing, which they're just not talking about. This one is called the War of the Ancients. This is 10,000 years before the Dark Portal. We're getting there. Let's find out. As the Highborn continued experimenting on the Well of Eternity, a young night elf named Malfurion Stormrage honed his ties to nature. Um, I think we know him as the druid, the father of the druids. Or no, that's Cenarius. He's the guy that has the wings. He is a mega druid, yeah. Under the tutelage of the wise Cenarius, he had become the first mortal druid on Azeroth. Malfurion excelled in his studies, and he often spent his days wandering the forests of Hyjal. Cenarius was greatly pleased by Malfurion's progress. He had sensed something special in his student from the very first time the Night Elf spirit explored the Emerald Dream. Cenarius hoped that Malfurion would spread druidism among the Night Elves and help them return to their harmonious roots. And I believe if you remember, in the beginning, they're one of the only classes that can be druids. As far as Alliance goes, I still think there's not that many that can be druids. Yet this change would not come to Azshara and her followers. Unbeknownst to greater Night Elf society, the Highborn had begun communing with Sargeras. The fallen Titan hoped to use the sorcerers and their great magic to expedite the Legion's journey to Azeroth. Without a suitable gateway, he knew that traveling to the world would take ages. Much as he had done with the Eredar on Argus, Sargeras reached out to the Highborn and capitalized on their hubris. Lord Xavius was the first of the Highborn to hear Sargeras' call. The power-hungry Xavius quickly brought Sargeras to Azshara's attention. The fallen Titan promised to grant the Night Elf Queen and her servitors unfathomable power, thereby allowing them to remake Kalimdor into a paradise. Sargeras requested only that Azshara and her followers summon his agents into the world of Azeroth so that they could give the Highborn this power. Enthralled by Sargeras' might, Azshara and her Highborn used the Well of Eternity's energies to bring the Legion's minions into Azeroth. Waves of demonic warriors flooded out from the Queen's palace, murdering every Night Elf in their path save for their Highborn allies. Led by the likes of Manaroth the Destructor, Hakar the Houndmaster, and Archimon the Defiler, the Legion stormed across the Night Elf Empire in a tide of death and destruction. Blazing infernals tore through the sky, shattering Night Elf cities, while thousands of bloodthirsty Doomguard and ravenous Fellhounds reduced Kalimdor's tranquil woodlands to smoldering green embers. It's on. Terrible. War, the likes of which no mortal empire had ever witnessed, had come to Azeroth. We also have some key Manaroth, Hakar, and Archimon. Archimon we've talked about before, but we have two more that are we definitely fight, even in World of Warcraft times. A Night Elf resistance force led by a noble named Lord Cortalos Ravencrest formed to stand against the Legion's furious onslaught. Never heard of them. Among these brave defenders were Malfurion, his sorceress twin Illidan, and the beautiful priestess whom both brothers loved dearly, Tyrande Whisperwind. Ultimately, these three unlikely heroes would change the fate of Kalimdor forever. Though Ravencrest's forces initially suffered many defeats against the demons, the Night Elves did make gains. Malfurion himself delivered one of the most decisive early blows against the Legion and its Highborn allies. From the depths of the Emerald Dream, he unleashed his druidic magics upon Azshara's trusted servant Xavius, striking him down. Not only did this act destroy one of the Highborn's most powerful sorcerers, but it also proved the incredible potential of druidic magic to Malfurion's allies. Illidan also became invaluable to the Resistance. During one engagement, his courage and mastery of arcane magic allowed him to save Ravencrest's life. For this selfless act, Illidan was appointed the commander's personal sorcerer. He would later go on to lead the host of sorcerers that fought for the Night Elf Resistance. I feel like he's the first demon hunter, too. For her part, the priestess Tyrande emerged as one of the greatest members of the Sisterhood of Elune. Through her unbreakable faith in the benevolent Elune, she saved countless innocents from the marauding Legion. In time, Tyrande would become the High Priestess of Elune, the revered leader of her sacred sisterhood. I forgot that she's not a druid, she's a priest. And this is really some of our first priest magic. So we have that class. Yet despite the bravery with which the resistance fought, more and more demons spilled into Azeroth through the Highborn's portals. The Legion also bolstered its numbers with a new breed of demon born from the denizens of Azeroth itself, and the first of these abominations was Xavius. Sargeras had warped the defeated Highborn's body into a twisted demonic visage of jagged horns and cloven hooves. This new form became known as a satyr, and it would mark Xavius as an eternal servant of the Legion. At Sargeras' bidding, he set out to curse many of his fellow Highborn, transforming them into satyrs as well. Alright, we have our first new evil race that we knew was coming, the satyrs. As the Legion's numbers swelled and war progressed, Malfurion realized that the Night Elves could not prevail alone. He convinced Tyrande and Illidan to accompany him to the tranquil Moonglade near Mount Hyjal, where they beseeched Cenarius for aid. Alright, now we mentioned Moonglade, which is the Druid capital. The great demigod agreed to rally the mighty wild gods against the Legion, but they were unpredictable beings, unaccustomed to fighting as one. Spurring them to action would take time, a luxury the Night Elves did not have. So this is cool. Things are getting cool. One thing that I'm tempted to want to do now is I want to talk about the classes. So there are around 13 classes. So of these classes, warrior, you don't have to even have a history for that. People have been fighting forever. Death Knights, I don't think we've talked about at all because they really come out of the Lich King story, and that's not there. Excuse me. Paladins, if you followed the lore at all, the first of those is Lothar, I believe, and he doesn't come around until Warcraft 1-ish, maybe slightly before that time. Maybe sometime between 1 and 2. They're definitely there by the time Warcraft 2 comes along, but it's a newer thing. Okay, so that's 2. That's still the 3 classes. Rogues, I don't know if we're ever going to discuss sneaky little rogues and scouts. Hunters, I don't know if we're ever going to discuss those. Those seem like classes that need little background. If you never explain them, that's fine. We've now explained druids and how they come. And we've also talked about shamanic magic. So that's one that's sort of been there for a while as well. Monks we've talked about, because that's what happens for Pandaria, and they've been doing their thing. Mages, we now have magic. Arcane magic is coming through Illidan, and from the flip side, you have the mages on Azshara's side. I don't think we have warlocks yet, and now we've talked about priests here. So we're getting there, about half-ish of the classes, a little bit less. I've had some time. All right, guys, this was a cool one. I like it. We're getting more and more characters that we're used to dealing with on a regular basis in World of Warcraft. I appreciate you for listening. Thanks for giving me your time. I hope you learned a little bit. And I'll see you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft. See ya.